Halloween. That's a movie coming out this year. It has nothing to do with the mess that was Halloween 2007. No, it is a return to the OG, the original universe. The H2O-iverse, if you will. The last time we had the pleasure of visiting this film franchise was the great year of 2002, when the world was still shocked that you could shove a camera into a phone. Halloween, like many other horror film franchises, started off as a classic slasher that was generally well received and enjoyed by audiences in 1978. But like all franchises, the studio took an original concept that was once a good idea and repeated and recycled the same story beats for 6 sequels, jamming these films down people's throats for nearly 25 years after the original release. Don't you just love Hollywood? Of course, like all great franchises, however, this shit never stays dead. In the late 2000s, studios started noticing that they could make some quick cash off of a really shit reboot that was cheap to make, had the name recognition to draw on the audiences. This was a phenomenon that spread across to all genres as we have seen. But in 2018, we aren't as fucking stupid. Just shoving the same title as a classic horror film onto a vaguely similar poster won't cut it anymore. So, as always, studios have found a way to spike interest in a long-forgotten film franchise with 2018's Halloween sequel reboot thingamajigger. To understand what makes this new movie different, we must first travel back to the not-too-distant past of 2011. The world had been graced with this beauty 2 years back. And of course, it was sequel time, baby. The project was reportedly titled Halloween 3D, which as we all know means that this was destined to be a magnificent work of art. Nobody was ever set to write or direct, however the film was supposedly going to pick up on the exact frame the last installment left off. This film was supposedly meant to pay homage to the original Michael Myers from Halloween 1978 for some reason, but after making little to no progress in production, the project was scrapped and everyone forgot this reboot existed. Flash forward to 2015, and now new writers have been brought on board to write a new Halloween film that was described as a recalibration rather than a straight-up reboot. This film was meant to pick up after the events of Halloween 2 from the original films, not the shit one, and to be titled Halloween Returns, which honestly doesn't make a lot of sense because I'm sure that Halloween never went away. Rather, the character is who is returning, but that is neither here nor there, so who cares? This seems to have started the trend of movies today, taking a classic film franchise that has a lot of horrible sequels and throwing out all the stuff that no one likes, rather than fully rebooting. In December of that year, it was announced that Dimension Films, the studio in line to produce this version of Halloween, no longer held the rights to this film franchise, so Halloween Returns got cancelled. In May of 2016, Blumhouse began financing a new Halloween film with the OG himself, John Carpenter, signing on to co-produce, saying that 38 years after the original Halloween, I'm going to try to make the 10th sequel the scariest of them all. Again, like the last time they tried making one of these movies, they made the decision against a full reboot and just carrying on with the mythology post-Halloween 2. Again, not the Rob Zombie nightmare, the 1981 film titled Halloween 2. They have the same name for some reason, I don't know, it doesn't really matter. Right, so why is any of this important? What is so special about this film? Well, I believe that this is an important step in the evolution of how things are rebooted and remade. Many people hold a lot of issue with the idea of scrapping what has come before and starting from fresh with new cast and new ideas, but the problem arises when studios leave the second half of that out. Problems with 90% of rebooted films is that there is no creator-driven reason for starting fresh all over again. It is all an initiative from the studio to cash in and make some money off of the same name of other, better movies. I'm talking about this guy, and this one, and this abomination. It seems, however, that studios have begun to catch on to the fact that most people hate it when they do this. There's a reason majority of these films are shat on as much as they are, and it isn't because they are underappreciated. With the new Halloween, this gives studios a chance to realize that there is a good way to cash in on these long-dead franchises, while also allowing creatives to come on board and do something quite interesting with the property. Instead of restarting from the ground up and retreading past stories that have already done a pretty good job at telling that particular story, it's time for the studios to revitalize the franchise they wish to revisit. It seems as if many audience members are very forgiving when it comes to leaving out the shit that you don't want to include in the overall story, especially when that shit was only told in movies majority of people did not see. I mean, honestly, the only reason I remember this movie exists is because of its ridiculous title. The creatives behind Halloween 2018 have straight up come out and said that this film is more a sequel to the original movie rather than a continuation of the absurd mythos the final installment left behind. Now, is this movie going to be great? Who knows? As of writing the script for this video, it is sitting at around 85% on Rotten Tomatoes, but that is neither here nor there. I'm truly hoping that this film is a success for the studios and for the creatives behind it. I believe that those who have worked on this film have really strong ideas towards the creative aspect of what to do with this franchise, and I'm really hoping that that is something that is rewarded. We all know studios love learning the worst lesson from situations, so I'm sure if this film bombs, the problem won't be pinned on the fact that it's the 10th movie in this franchise. More often than not, it is the creatives that get damaged, and I believe that this is something that needs to change. Hopefully this year's Halloween can show people that there are strong ways to go about revitalizing a franchise, and like always, let's just pray this shit is good.